I'm going to call the Star City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, May the 4th be with you, 2021 at 7 p.m. Will you please rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to have an invocation tonight by Mr. Jacob King from the Eagle Christian Church. Is that microphone turned on? Do we know?
I injected earlier.
It is? Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, let's pray. Father God, we are thankful to be here tonight. God, we ask that you would be leading and guiding, that you would be present in this city, that you would be leading this council as they make decisions that impact the entire city and all the people within it. God, I do pray a special prayer tonight for the Holland family in Kuna and the loss that they have seen this week. I pray for the communities of Kuna and Meridian both who are mourning that loss, and we mourn with them tonight as well. We know that you are a God of comfort and a God who cares and a God who is present in the midst of tragedy. And so, God, we pray that you would be present, that you would be with the Holland family and with the Kuna community in particular. We love you, God. Thank you for the love that you've shown us. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that very much. Okay, roll call.
Here. Present.
Here.
Here.
Present.
So we're all here. That's fantastic. Okay, item 4, the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Hershey.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with the following changes. 4A, remove the approval of claims provided, and 4B, the minutes for April 6th and April 20th, and approve 4C, Trident Ridge subdivision, 2, Cresta del Sol subdivision, and 3, Saddlewood subdivision.
Okay, we got a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion, a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I'll be abstaining from item 4C3 Saddlewood subdivision.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman?
So item C1, in the staff report, do we need to talk about the parking of Trident Ridge?
The cul-de-sac parking?
No, I apologize. Let me look at my notes. The acceptance of the future park property.
If you want to discuss it, sure. So we need to pull it off the consent agenda?
Well, in our packet, it says that we need to discuss this item.
Did we talk? I thought we talked about it last.
It was, I just put in the staff report that if you guys wanted to talk about it, you could.
If we want to discuss it.
So.
If you want to discuss it, we can pull it off and discuss it. That's fine.
Okay, please. Thank you.
Okay, so we need to,
And remove Trident Ridge subdivision to the regular agenda as, I guess,
item,
5A-ish. I have no idea where to put that thing.
okay. Okay, we've got a motion. We got a modified second.
Yes.
Okay, we still have your removal from item 5E3, correct? Okay, any further discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. We're going to move on to item 5A, the public hearing for the East Star River Ranch subdivision. We need to discuss a date to table this in the future. The first 2 public hearings, we have not received any of our ITD or ACHD communications. They are backed up quite a bit. So we need to talk about the dates that we're going to move the first one to.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I'd like to make a motion to move the public hearing for the East Star River Ranch subdivision and the Landon Village subdivision to June 15th.
Okay, and that's going to work, Sean, right?
Let's hope we get it by then. If not, we might have to table it out.
Right.
Quick question on that.
Councilman Hershey?
June 15th already got four things, a lot of things on it. Are those going to get moved as well, do you think?
There's a couple of those that will get moved because of the same situation, most likely.
Okay.
ACHD and ITD right now are almost 90 days out on getting stuff
So
back.
we're, okay.
So we're going to be doing this little game for a little bit until we can get it all caught up because of the noticing that's already gone out.
All right, then I second Councilman Key's motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Item 5B, the public hearing for the Land and Village subdivision. Same thing, we need to table that one out due to the same reasons with ACHD and ITD.
Mr. Mayor, that was covered in the last motion.
I thought we just talked about the first one. So, huh?
I added it in.
Oh, he did? Okay, all right. So item 5A and 5B are both covered. Very good. Now we're going to move on to public hearing for the Lauren Estates subdivision. Did everybody in the audience that want to speak to Lauren Estates sign up that wishes to speak? Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing on that and ask the city council if they have any ex parte communication or contact on this project.
No, Mr. Mayor.
None.
None.
Okay, hearing none, the public hearing will be open. And we have Mr. Mitchell up here to be,
Nate Mitchell, 1470 Northbrook Way, Star, Idaho, 83669. Council members, Mayor, appreciate the time tonight. We've got a pretty simple development in front of you, short plat, final plat for turning 10.5 acres into 4 lots, 1 2-acre lot, 2 1-acre lots, and the remainder 6+ acre lots. Location 3/4 mile north of Highway 44 on Canada, west side of Canada, so it is in Canyon County. Properties contiguous across the street. Basically what we have is Gary and Kathy Olson own the property. They've got a couple of kids and a family friend that want to build houses. Trying to split the property so that we can divide individually and get building permits. We've proposed a private street. It comes off of Canada, goes west. We've proposed that as a graveled road with dust control. The existing houses that front Canada that Gary and Kathy live in, there's an existing house and shop that front Canada that Gary and Kathy live in. Very well landscaped frontage along Canada. We've asked that covers our landscape requirements for the road frontage. Honestly, I believe it well exceeds what your code would require as far as street trees and frontage. We've received comments from Canyon Highway District number 4 about widening the asphalt section. Fully prepared to comply with that. Honestly, more than 50% of that frontage has already been widened beyond what they're asking us to do in their comments. They did it themselves when they resurfaced Canada several years ago. There is a portion of that property that hasn't been widened to that, and the applicant's fully ready to comply with the widening requirements of the road section. We did have a conversation with Canyon Highway District number 4 about curb, gutter, and sidewalk, and what the walking through the code with everybody. I think we've come to the conclusion that code allows us to simply improve the asphalt section and not do the curb, gutter, and sidewalk, as it's a small size development. And really you're talking about Foothill Road to Highway 44 that needs to be designed before we just plunk a sidewalk down out there and hope that it's not a foot high or a foot low when everybody else's sidewalk comes to it. So I guess the waivers that we're looking for in this application are the landscape requirements along Highway 44, and I do believe we actually, the existing landscape exceeds it, and we'd rather not disturb the existing front yard. The private road going west, I believe code would require pavement. We've asked for that to remain a gravel surface. Everybody that's gonna build a house out there is already actually using the private road to enjoy the ponds and things. Nobody's got a complaint with that. We will asphalt 30 feet into the property. So there's an approach off of the highway or off of Canada that would be improved into the property. So ingress and egress from the property actually is asphalted, and you don't end up with the dust and the dirt out in Canada. You end up with it in their driveway. Aside from that, I stand for questions and respectfully request your consideration and approval tonight.
Okay, any questions of the applicant?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys?
so I also understand you're asking for a waiver of the open space requirement?
Yes, I thank you for pointing that out. I do believe we are. So we're talking about a city zoning ordinance that requires open space in a subdivision. If you see the plat, there is already a pond recreation area along the road. If we need to ensure in a covenant that the three parcels that don't have access to that can have access to that, we can do that.
Okay, and so I just want to clarify what you're asking for on the road improvements for Canada is to make a contribution to the road trust fund in lieu of any physical improvements.
I'd actually couple that with, you're correct. We gave the highway district the option of either making us improve it or we would contribute funds to the highway trust fund in lieu of that. We also agreed on those three additional parcels that would end up with building permits to pay an impact fee equal to ACHD's impact fee, whether that's paid to a highway trust fund or is paid to the city of Star. King and Highway District number 4, it currently doesn't have the legal capacity to collect that impact fee. But we recognize the impact. We've agreed to ITD's proportionate share, highway trust fund or improve. And that's an option we'd like to keep on the table. We can either widen the asphalt or we can contribute to the trust fund and then pay a impact fee for each building permit issued at building permit for additional off-site improvements.
Okay, so just, and you may not be aware of this, we're actually this close to
I know.
adopting
I know.
impact fees with Canyon County Highway District number 4. So what I'm thinking is either, pay their impact fee if it's in place when you pull the permits, or pay whatever the ACHD fee is. That's what we've been.
I would actually appreciate tonight if we can just lock ourselves into the equivalent ACHD impact fee.
Oh, so you've seen the fee chart.
Yeah, I have. And the day we made application, King Highway District didn't have a impact fee. Right, like we say, we'd like to just stick to the ACHD impact fee of today.
Okay, and so I think the only thing that I would like you to consider is when you've got your asphalt rig out there, just go the other 500 feet and just pave the whole thing. Just, 'cause I'm thinking to do dust mitigation for the long haul, it's going to be painful. Would you consider just paving that road without doing the curb, gutter, and sidewalk?
So you just want an asphalt strip down to the cul-de-sac?
Yeah.
Because I think we're closer to 1,100 feet than we are 500 feet.
Okay, I guess I was looking at a dimension here. So okay.
So let's call it 1,200 feet, 28 foot wide. If that, we'll consider it if that's what the council asks us to do. We'd prefer to keep it gravel. Just the cost of asphalting that for 3 people that don't want it asphalted is a lot of money. And it's that's not I realize that's not an excuse. Money's not the reason not to do something. It's just legitimately not what the applicant sees for these 3 lots in his house.
And I appreciate that. My concern is more dust mitigation for everything around them. Especially going forward. When they build houses, there'll be more traffic than just going to visit ponds and that type of thing. So,
I understand that completely. Like there's private roads just to the north edge of this property that haven't been asphalted and don't meet fire district regulations. People run up and down them all day. And these people have been dealing with that dust for decades.
okay. And then one other thing would the applicant consider a condition in the development agreement where lots 1, 2, and 3 would not be able to be further subdivided?
So I would like to write that condition that they will agree not to be further all 4 lots will agree not to be further subdivided until all 4 lots are ready to be further subdivided. If that makes sense, so yes, we don't want to subdivide that back lot, 2-acre lot into 10 lots. But if the Olsons pass through a generation and Gary and Kathy aren't living in the house, somebody wants to buy the entire 10.5 acres and redevelop all of it, we'd like to be able to redevelop all of it. Does that make sense? Like I'm not trying to complicate that. Yes, we'll agree to no further subdivision, but we want to be able to come back to you to re-subdivide the entire thing.
Right.
If that's the case.
So you're saying not individual subdivision of each lot, but the entirety of
Correct.
of the land, right?
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
It does answer my question. I'm just thinking that's just kind of weird. So,
Talk to me. What's weird?
So.
Talk to me. What's weird about it?
No, it just seems unusual to say, well, we're going to have a condition to not subdivide it until we decide to
Until we
subdivide it.
subdivide it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it just
no,
seems like
I-
either have a condition or we don't in that case.
Mr.
Count or Sean, go ahead.
Mayor and Council. I know what Mr. Mitchell's trying to accomplish, and because it's an annexation and a development agreement, we're going to have the concept plan as part of the development agreement. So if we just had a condition that the preliminary plat or the final plat associated with this preliminary plat cannot be re-subdivided.
Can we just say without bringing it back to the city? So you guys are in control. If somebody wants to re-subdivide the entire thing, if we're 20 years down the road and the kids aren't living there anymore and Gary and Kathy aren't here anymore, and somebody wants to buy the whole 10.5 acres and tear 3 houses down and tear 4 houses down and re-subdivide that, it just has to come back to you guys.
Also keep in mind, he's requesting an R1 rezone in a 3 to 5 dwelling unit per acre comp plan. So I don't know if you really want to restrict, the R1 would only allow them to do up to 10 future
10
lots.
lots,
So I don't
yeah.
know if you really want to restrict that.
I guess where are you going with this? Let me just ask Councilman Keys that question.
Well, I was just asking for the condition. So I'm looking at in the staff report, it says the comp plan designation is a state residential, not neighborhood residential.
Okay. Sorry,
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page, though. You're more concerned about individual lots being subdivided further versus the entirety of the property.
Correct.
Okay.
And I would just remind everybody that whether we write it as a condition or not, if you annex this and you zone this and subdivide it, nothing can change there without coming back in front of you anyway.
Correct.
Like, so you're still in control.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions of the applicant?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman?
I just want to follow up on the dirt road because it's been said dirt road and then it's said gravel road. Can you clarify?
So correct me if you've changed it, but I believe your code allows for dustless surfaces other than asphalt,
Right.
whether it's oiled, whether it's ground asphalt or
Road base.
road-based chips. The road's built. Frankly, it's fire department standard. It's actually, I think the fire department requires 12 inches of 6-inch minus pit run, and it's not 3/4 all the way down. It obviously would be before the plat's recorded, but the 3/4 road mix compacted with washed rock on top of it is a dustless surface. And it fits the application to what these guys are trying to do. If council needs something different than that, then I just need to tell them.
No, thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, thank you, sir. So we have one that signed up. I think it's, is it Mr. Mark Prawn?
Yeah, I was actually, sure, I'll follow that.
Are you, is it to the application or something different?
Let's do something different.
Then it needs to be to this application. So, yes.
Well, I would say.
So hang on a sec. So would come up and state your name and address if you want to speak to it. But it's only to that. It can't be to anything else.
Well, I can speak to that and then I can
Okay.
generalize to the other things as
Okay.
well. Mark Crone, 6808 Settlement Ranch Court.
Okay, go ahead.
And
You got 3
Star
minutes,
here?
sir.
I would have to agree with, I mean, it's a 10-acre plot with 4 houses. Geez, that's rural. I'm surprised that it was accepted. I was here last month at the council meeting and we went through a whole bunch of other, one other subdivision that you were looking at. And, you know, I'm just, after sitting through that meeting and listening to what he was going through right now, this sounds like a rural project. And what I see Star, the city of Star doing as in annexing all these farms and everything, and they're turning them all into a city. So when I look at the wall right here and it says hold the vision, trust the process. What is the vision for Star? To turn into Meridian? I mean, I guess I don't understand that. I bought in unincorporated Canyon County, just outside of Star, 5 acres, rural lot. That's what I was hoping for. But after last month's meeting, I see that a lot of these farms are turning into city lots. I mean, you're going, you bickered and everything about a 5-foot lot line. It's like, come on, it's in the country. It's a rural. Why are you worried about 5-foot lot lines? You should have 30-foot, 40-foot, 50-foot lot lines, one house per acre. So this project right here, I'd have to agree with. I mean, they're at 1 acre, 2 acre lots in that. And that's what a rural annexation should be, not 150 acres. Then you're putting in 340 houses. And then
So to be fair, we just need to make sure that we maintain this. We'll have public testimony
you're right.
in 2 weeks that you could come in and talk about that.
Okay, well, I'm just, it's just, it all flows together. This one is a rural. I will agree with this. I on the chart, I wrote that I was not.
So you're okay with that
Except
change?
I'm,
Okay.
you please go
Okay.
ahead and change that I would accept this because it is a rural annexation where all of the other stuff that I see, I've been reading about all of the other things. I just see that the city of Star is not looking after its citizens that live here, came here for a rural community, but you're letting outsiders come in and buy up all these farms and then annex into the city of Star. And then you are putting them 3 to 5 houses per acre, but they're having ponds and all this green space. So it's not actually 3 to 5 houses because you're shrinking that lot size and everything.
Okay,
in
you
that.
got 5 seconds.
5 seconds. Well, I just want to go back. Hold the vision. What trust process? What is the vision for Star? That's my question to you guys is.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I'd like to ask Mr. Crone a couple of questions.
Sure.
And maybe just have a bit of a dialogue.
That's fine.
With you on how things work. You've made a couple of comments that, the city of Star is doing this and the city of Star is doing that. And I'm just wondering if you're aware that when these annexations come before us, it's not actually the city of Star that's doing it. It's the people who own the property.
Right, I understand. It's a voluntary
voluntary,
annexation.
okay.
Yes, there's 3
Are you familiar
things
with
for
our
that.
comprehensive plan?
I have seen the comprehensive plan and it's just constantly, I mean, it's expanding. It's expanding into Canyon County and
Well, regardless of where it is, the people who participated in putting that comprehensive plan together, we had more than 10% of our entire community come and participate in putting that plan together. So it wasn't the city that's doing this to the people.
Mhm.
This is the city engaging with the people, listening to our people,
Okay.
and putting things into the comp plan that the people have agreed to. When we've put that comp plan together, we had hundreds, even over 1,000 people participate in totality in that process.
Okay.
And so when we passed that, that was the people's vision. And oftentimes, and I've heard since then, for example, that, you know, people have come in who were at those comprehensive plan meetings and they come in for the development, you know, of a particular lot, and they commented on both. They were supportive in the comp plan and not supportive later, because seeing, you know, something is different sometimes than visualizing it. Regardless, you know, we've got a process here that has included the people. And so this group of folks up here, we're not walking around the city and saying, ooh, that one looks like a good place to put a bunch of houses.
Well, I understand that the developer or the farm, I am not against expansion. I'm not against building and that, but it's, you know, if it's responsible, I just don't think, and like I said, I'm
Well, define responsible, right? I mean, you've got people who own property.
yes,
And in this case, you know, you happen to agree with our property owner here who's coming in
Yes.
with what you call a rural lot.
Rural lot,
We
right.
don't have any rural lots. This is a city.
it is a city, right?
So this is what's called an estate zone.
Okay,
And that was put on the comprehensive plan.
okay.
So
I
I'm
guess,
gonna, let me just,
go ahead.
we be fair to applicant
sorry.
your time. We're gonna go back to the public hearing. I'm gonna give you my card. I have
Okay,
an open door. I've always had an open door. I encourage you to call me and we
okay.
can sit down and we can chat more
Okay.
about your concerns and then bring it up. Okay,
All right.
will that work?
I appreciate that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, that's all that signed up to speak. Mr. Mitchell, you want to come back and reboot? No, they didn't sign up. That was your job 8 years ago.
Rule followers. And it wasn't 8 years ago, come on. So I'm supposed to come up and rebut the public testimony, but he said he agreed with what we're doing.
So,
So-
I'm just asking if you want to.
No, I can actually have like a 45-minute conversation about the conversation that Councilman Nielsen and him are having right now. if we
You
want
could come
to.
and join the conversation later.
Oh,
on
I
that.
can't do it tonight.
But we can do that at a later time.
I guess what I would assure the council and I would assure the audience is that to his concern, he bought 5 acres in unincorporated Canyon County. This application or any other application that's been in front of City Star will not change the fact that he's got 5 acres in unincorporated Canyon County.
Okay. Anything, questions for the applicant? Anything further? You got anything else to say, sir, before I close the public hearing?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to close the public hearing. We're going to move on to council deliberations.
Mr. Mayor, I'd
Councilman Keys.
like to make a motion that we approve the Miranda State subdivision, waiving any additional landscape requirements and accepting the existing landscaping as meeting our plan. We waive the open space requirement, that a payment be made to the road trust fund in accordance with the applicant's agreement with Canyon Highway District number 4. And that per the development agreement, that the applicant is able to pay ACHD impact fees as they currently exist.
Okay, we got a motion. We got a second.
I'll give you a second, but I have a clarification or something I'd like to add though.
Okay,
Make sure that any resident there does have access to that pond, as Mr. Mitchell pointed out.
okay. You want to modify your motion?
I'll amend my motion accordingly.
Okay, you approve the second.
That's, yeah, amended, yes.
Any,
Super.
any further comments? Questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Sean, yes.
would the motion maker please be willing to add as part of the waivers, the waiver to the open space and the waiver to the block length? of the
I already had the open space, but I'll also amend my motion to include a waiver of the block length requirement.
Second,
Yeah, third time's a charm, second.
any further
Mayor Chadwick.
discussion? Councilman Nielsen.
You know, I just want to highlight, I guess, on the legal side of things, that I also find that this application meets both the letter and intent of our comprehensive plan and all other regulations that I can find outside of the waivers.
Okay, any further comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
I'd
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you.
like to welcome the Olsons to Star.
They've been the Star for 100 years already. Yeah, I know. The whole family's been here forever. Yes.
Well, to the city
So,
limits.
so Mr., is he still here? So I just, before we go on the next public hearing, if you have some neighbors that have concern, we can set up a meeting. I sit down and talk to them in a thing. I have no issue with that, just so you're aware. Okay? Well, we could do a coffee meeting or whatever with me and your neighbors and stuff if you want to sit down and chat. Okay, perfect, you bet. Okay, on the item 4D, the public hearing for the Greylock cabinetry. We have the applicant coming up. I need to ask the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication regarding this application.
No, Mr.
None.
Mayor.
None.
Okay, hearing none, sir, if you state your name and address for the record.
Glenn Robinette, 3742 East Park Center Boulevard in Boise.
Okay,
Mayor Chadwick, council members, thank you for having me tonight. I'm here to discuss the Greylock cabinetry, custom cabinetry project that we have going on, and we're requesting a variance in height from the IL zone from going from 35 feet to 45 feet. Greylock is very excited about this project and very enthused about bringing this high-end production cabinet shop to your community. We are proposing, because of the way the structure works and the way his equipment works, we're having to raise our roof structure up so that it will allow the stacking inside the building. So that's the reason why we're requesting this variance.
okay. Any questions of the applicant? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me ask you, are we done? I assumed you were.
That's
Yeah, okay. Any questions of the applicant? Nothing? Okay. Public testimony, Mr. Nate Mitchell, do you want to say anything? Okay. You need to check the, would you like to speak? Sir? Apparently. Okay.
Nate Mitchell, 1470 Northrop Way. I just want to, I understand the concern with height requirements and zoning ordinances very well. The location of this setback behind storage facilities and off of both Highway 60 and Highway 44. The idea of having a cabinet shop of this caliber in our city that is what I would like to call import income, but everything they're selling is not going to houses in Star. They're not making wages over here and spending them at the Merc or going to Maverick. These guys are actually bringing nationwide, worldwide income into your city. I would highly encourage you to approve this and recognize that the landscape buffers and everything that are approved in the conditional use permit around this will not make a 10-foot height difference recognizable from anywhere you, me, or anybody else is going to drive or be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all that signed up to speak. Did you want to follow up with anything further? Okay.
Answer any questions.
Okay, any questions of the applicant at this time? All right, thank you, sir. So we're going to close the public hearing and move on to council deliberations.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen,
I move that we approve conditional use permit modification for height exception for Greylock cabinetry.
okay, we got a
Second
motion.
that.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Keys?
So the only thing I want to clarify is in the staff report, it pointed out that the ventilation dust collection system would potentially fall under the ventilator rule. And I don't believe it does, but I do believe it falls under the other appurtenances usually required And so I don't have any issue with that. I also, I want to echo the comments that Mr. Mitchell made. I think he's absolutely right. I have no heartburn with this at all, and kind of breaking the seal for the first time on our 35-foot limit. But frankly, it's probably about time, and I think
Second
this is the right one.
Albertsons was first.
Yeah, Albertsons.
So just so you're aware.
Okay.
So I just want to, before you guys vote on it, I think this is an outstanding addition to our city. The architectural features on this with the glass and everything on the front I think it's gonna look outstanding, and the height limit is not a concern to me, especially where it's located on this. So,
I'd just like to add, this takes no consideration to my wanting to approve this tonight. I'd love a tour of the place when it's done.
okay, any further comments? Okay, we have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, sir. All right,
Mr. Mayor, make sure you don't forget the Trident Ridge.
yeah, well, let's move the Trident. I'm gonna move it into item 5E and shift everything down so we don't forget. Is that okay, Chris? I can do that, right? Okay, good. All right. So we're gonna have our discussion on the Trident Ridge subdivision. Miss Jennifer, did you want to talk about that?
Well, it seems like there was, can you just give me some background on this? Because I believe that there was a public park that was going to be deeded over to the city. I wasn't on council at that time, and I think that this phase was the time that it was going to be deeded over. Or is it
Yeah,
monetary?
Mr. Mayor and council. It was actually approved to be in an earlier phase. I think it was phase 2, and you guys did approve that to be postponed to this phase 5, which we're at now. The mayor and I did meet with the developer a few weeks ago to discuss some of the concerns they had, or the complications they've had with the irrigation district as far as crossing the ditch with the new and creating a new bridge, also with the neighboring property owners to the north. And so the mayor and I discussed the monetary payoff equivalent to what that bridge would cost. I think we all agreed that the city would have a better chance at working with the irrigation district and with the neighbors on trying to create that crossing, also working with our fire district to find out exactly what our end result is to get across that canal. They are still required to do the parking within the cul-de-sac, and they will propose that, and staff will approve that.
So they're basically will be deeding the property, giving us $60,000 check, which is what we required at the time of the public hearing.
And then we'll release them from any further conditions, and then we will
Okay.
go forward.
And Star Sewer and Water has plans for up there too, and Star Sewer and Water has the ability to help facilitate that bridge going across that.
So does that parking lot go in before or after the bridge?
The parking lot's there. It's a reconstitution of it.
And
That.
we'll have them do that with this phase.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because you can still cross the bridge.
Yeah.
Pedestrians can still cross the bridge. So the real issue is getting vehicles across
Okay.
safely, and that's what we need to work
Right.
with irrigation.
So with the approval of this application then, or this final plat, do we need to include something about that 60,000? So we can move.
I think I'd put it in as a
I believe it was in
condition,
there.
but we can,
maybe.
Take a look. I don't have it.
we can always modify that condition if you like some different wording. Condition number 1 says applicant shall dedicate the park area and provide the city with a payment of $60,000 for future improvements to the Farmers Union ditch crossing prior to the signature of the final plat.
Okay,
And
Thank
we can add
there.
another
Nope, that's
sentence
good.
if you'd like.
Okay. I appreciate the explanation. and the
Yeah.
Clarification.
Now, I did put in the staff report that I just wanted to make sure you guys understood
You're
that we
aware.
were releasing that. by
Okay.
doing this approval.
Any further comments?
Nope.
So we have a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the final plat for Trident Ridge subdivision,
number 5.
number 5.
We got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. On the item 4E, the Area of Impact Committee of 9. I'm sorry, 5E or 5F now? It's 5F. We're going to call that Area of Impact Committee of 9. Okay, so we've had, I think it was last week, I had the Sean, myself, and Jacob met with the County Commissioners and stuff, and we're going to invoke this part of the code here where we're going to put together the committee of 9, which is 3 elected officials that we need to select right now, tonight. Myself being one of them, and 2 council members here on the council to be part of the group that's going to be working on the area of impact in Canyon County.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys,
I would like to volunteer to be on that committee.
okay. Anybody else want to volunteer to be on the committee?
Mayor Chadwick,
Yep.
you know I've already volunteered.
Yeah, I know you volunteered. Any other further volunteers? You want to volunteer? I would like to see a debate between you amongst you all. So you all volunteer.
Well, does it have to only be 3? Or-
It's only 3. Yep. With
But if we have
myself.
2
being one.
people wanting to do it, that's fine by me.
Okay, so we need to make a motion to approve Mayor Chadwick, Councilman Keys, and Councilman Nielsen.
So moved.
Okay,
I'll second.
we got a motion, a second. Any further discussion?
You can put me as an alternative if necessary. I mean, I'd be happy to do it, but
Okay,
you already stepped up to the plate and swung.
okay, hearing no further questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Going to move on to item 5G. Now it's called the Senior Center mural. Who's going to talk about this? Are you going to bring it up and talk about it? So it's gonna fall to you, I think, and then we'll have the artist up here talking about it too.
Okay, well, let me see here. So, thank you. The pathway and, no, we're not the pathway committee anymore. Parks, Art and Beautification Committee. They have been working on putting a mural, getting the plans for a mural project put onto the Star Senior Center on the north wall. And so they wanted to, they found the artist who is here tonight. And so she will come up and present her proposal. And so we are looking for the approval of this mural project.
Okay.
So Ms. Fraser. Thank you.
Just state your name and address, please.
Marianne Fraser, 553 South Tressa Place.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mayor Chadwick and council members, I want to talk to you about the proposal for the senior center. This would be on the north wall of the senior center. You can see there's a door sort of in the center. It's behind your guys off the alley there. So what I did is I've done a sketch of a couple possibilities of what we could do. So if we could go to the next picture there. So this could be the mural in its entirety. And basically the theme is Star Takes Flight, and it would be an interactive mural. So sort of a photo op opportunity, I guess, to encourage people to go in the alley and take pictures. So in front of each of these items, you could stand and, for example, pretend you're holding a bunch of balloons and it's carrying you away, or you're stepping into a hot air balloon, or you have giant butterfly wings, or you're holding the string of a kite. And so it'd be sort of a photo op. As an alternative, what I did is I broke this down into phases, and the first phase would be just to do the background. What I'm asking is that the city would have the entire face of that building painted blue. And then the next phase I would come in, I would do the clouds and the landscape. And then the following phase, I would come in and do the butterflies, which would be the large wings and the smaller wings. So I would be doing this in steps based on how much budget the city wants to put into this project. And I'm asking for an allowance of a year so that I could paint it at my convenience because we have weather. So, and it's outside. So that said, I tend to work fast and get things ahead of time, but I just wanted to have that flexibility. So I've broken it down by phase of what each of those phases would cost. And there's also the option of just doing butterflies and not having any background or simplifying it. So kind of based on what the city has. There's a couple of requirements. I would need a source for water, a place to store a large ladder, possibly access inside to the senior center so I could get paints in and out. And one of my concerns is just kind of what would happen with that alley. There's quite a bit of stuff just back there and it would have to be safe for people to go back if they're going to do this. So that's one of the concerns I have. Also, I have a requirement for, I would need probably either some scaffolding at some point for some of the higher items or a cherry picker, some kind. So that's kind of a logistical thing we'd have to work out. So
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Any questions or comments?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
So I'm not aware, the city doesn't own the senior center, is that right?
Right.
Right. So I'm not sure about how we would provide access to water and a storage location and things like that.
Sure.
So we have met with the senior center with the executive director, and she brought it. They have a board, and so we brought it to them, and they all approved the idea of the mural. I would expect that they'd be very, like willing to work with whatever that you would need, but we could work out those details
Right.
to make sure.
Yeah.
And then also the beautification committee along that alleyway, if there's some things that that committee could do to help clean up the area, I'm sure, they would be, they would be, jump at it. So,
Yeah.
that, the goal of the project was, just to bring some art and, we thought the senior center has a large wall on it. And so that would be a great space for a mural.
So I completely agree, and I should have led with that. I personally, I think it's a fantastic idea, and I really like your concept drawing there.
Oh, thanks.
So if it turned out to look exactly like that, I think that would be wonderful.
Better. It'll be better.
So, just a couple of regular things though, that being one of them. We don't own the building, so it sounds like you got that worked out. But also generally when we hire somebody or we fund a project, it's kind of all inclusive. So if you need a ladder, if you need scaffolding, cherry picker, it's generally on you to do that. Am I wrong on that, or?
Well, we have, there's ways for us to help out with that as in-kind kind of stuff to help get it along.
Either in kind or let that be reflected
Yeah.
here in the overall funding. But
Because we have businesses here that would probably help with that. If you approve it, then we'll go through that effort of getting that help on the scaffolding or the cherry picker to go up there to do the painting at that such time.
So I did have one question, a logistical question. I'd asked Matt to do this and he never got back to me, so I'm not sure. Because I've worked with cities before and there's different kinds of insurance requirements
Right,
sometimes.
we'll have, if we approve it tonight, we'll have Mr. Qualls look at that.
Okay,
On what that insurance requirement is going to be, because it's a newer deal for us.
yeah, and it varies, I know, from municipality to municipality, so that we'll have to talk about that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question. And first off, I'm totally all for this. I think it's going to be beautiful.
Okay.
But when it comes to providing things like a scaffolding or lift, we would need some form of indemnification clause, I do believe.
Okay, we'll have Jacob and Chris work through that on there. Is that,
They're pretty boilerplate, but yeah,
Yeah.
something you need to throw in.
Yep.
Or we just assume all liability.
If that's the case, we're gonna tie her up with a bunch of ropes on the top of that thing so she. can't
Bubble wrap
fall.
soup, you
Bubble
know.
wrap soup, right.
That's right.
Hey,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
so I just want to clarify. So this is a project that is being proposed from the Beautification and Parks Committee.
Yeah.
And the proposal, as I understand, is to use city funds to do this. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
But we're putting this on a building that the city doesn't own. Is there any type of a licensing agreement that's been contemplated so that the owner of the building doesn't come along, 3 months after we're done and say, I really don't like it, I'm gonna paint it white?
Well, we can work through that as well, I believe.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, that's a great suggestion. I mean, right now with the senior center, it's maybe not an issue, but certainly if the building changes hands, we'd want to be able to ensure that it stays. And whether that's a license agreement with the city or whether it's a license agreement between the current owners of the building, the senior center and the artist, one way or the other, we'd want to make sure that that's something that can be preserved and not something that's just a temporary project.
And do you have an estimate of given the materials and the prep that'll be done, what the life of a mural like this would be?
So that's the good thing is it's on the north side of a building, so it has less impact from sun, and that's usually the primary concern. And I'm going to use as much as possible paints that are designed for exterior use. That said, I can't be responsible for the base. If the if the stucco starts to crack or there's flaking or something like that, I have no way of knowing what that base is like. So generally, 10 years, something like that. I think the bigger concern is, somebody coming along and defacing it or, something like that is usually the bigger issue.
Okay,
So-
and I guess if the expected life is, let's say, 10 years,
Yeah.
thinking that probably informs, the length of a licensing agreement that ends up being written. And of course, as you mentioned, the substrate is an issue, and
It
what I've
always
found
is.
in painting projects is prep is everything.
Absolutely. And so it looks like it has a really good fresh coat of paint on there now. I'm assuming that's exterior paint. But, I have no way of knowing what's on there. If you do agree to do the whole thing and you want the blue, I would recommend, because it's more cost effective, having a painter come in there, spray it and do, get really good quality paint that'll hold and bind really well. And then we should have a really good base to work on. So.
Any other questions?
Well, so Mr. Mayor, just as a process question here. So
Mhm.
if we make a motion to approve this, do we need to include things in there like the city working on licensing agreements and all that other stuff in the motion?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Just so it's clear for everybody on what we're doing. Okay? Any other questions of the applicant or of Miss Jennifer? Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Councilman Hershey, sorry, went to the other side.
you realize that hurts. Just kidding.
Feels great.
You got to shoot higher, Kevin. But so I make a motion that we approve this with the following conditions. First off, get with staff to discuss any, oh man, I had it on. Insurance indemnification needs. I say we do approve it at the 7,200 for the artist's work. However, allow allowances to consider the painting that's needed by a contractor, and also allow allowance for getting either scaffolding or some kind of cherry picker in there to help her out. Also, put in there the conditions that the agreement with the building owner, that they don't decide just to paint over it when they're done. And I don't know, I guess I don't know how to say anything about someone defacing it later other than armed guards 24/7 around it, but that's not necessary. So the clauses, working with staff, allowances for the scaffolding and the initial painting. And other than that, I
Councilman
think the
Hershey,
1 year time, yes.
Would you like to include something in there that authorizes the mayor to retain her as needed to recover from any such defacing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Something like that has happened and bring it back in and discuss that then. But
And I usually keep really good paint records just for that reason. I mean, if it happens and I can walk over.
Right.
I'll second
See
that
those here
motion.
stored. So we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
did I capture everything? I mean, I want this to happen. I just don't want to do it wrong.
Can we have Councilman Hershey's face painted in there somewhere as an Easter egg?
For a hug?
You could use my head as a mural. I mean, look at this thing.
Well, we do have a hot air balloon, I think.
That's
there.
right. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Look
you.
Can't wait
forward
to
to
see
that.
it. Thank you.
So it'll be done next week, right? Tomorrow? Okay, we're gonna move on to item 5H, floodplain ordinance 336. You want, Mr. Ryan, you want to talk about the floodplain ordinance for us, please?
Ryan Morgan, I work for Keller Associates, 131 Southwest Fifth Street in Meridian. Really, this floodplain ordinance, it's just an update, kind of a house cleaning update. Somehow we ended up with two separate floodplain ordinances. Not exactly sure how that happened. So this is repealing one of them and replacing the other. And the only significant change in that, again, is a house cleaning item. The current floodplain ordinance states that the city clerk will be the floodplain manager for the city. We are changing that section to allow the mayor to appoint at his discretion the floodplain manager. And that way it doesn't have to always be the city clerk.
Guys have any questions on this? If when we approve this, we need to dispense the rules and everything, so.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys?
so I read the ordinance and on the part where it talks about the administrators, the mayor or their designee. Is there a process that needs to be followed for that designee? Do we need a resolution or just do a letter or and it's probably a question for our attorney. How does that person get designated officially? So the other agencies know and such.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be as formal as a resolution. Usually it's just the mayor just identifies who that person is. There's been a lot of communication with, I guess, both FEMA and DEQ on this.
Not DEQ, but the state.
Or state, yeah, sorry.
The state floodplain administrator.
And just to back up and to hit Ryan's comment at the beginning, the reason there's two ordinances, the first ordinance we had only covered the city land that was in Ada County. And so as the city had annexed property into Canyon County that was in the floodplain, then the city adopted a second ordinance, which actually covered both Ada and Canyon County. But then we had one ordinance that was only Ada County and a second ordinance that was Ada and Canyon County that had more up-to-date guidelines. And when FEMA was looking at it, they're like, what are you doing, City of Star? So that's why we're repealing Chapter 1 of Title 10. It's because that's the original only Ada County ordinance. And then FEMA and the state have gone through this revised one. And we've made sure that it's all up to date and it meets all their standards. And so that's what the amendments were for what was Chapter 2, which will become Chapter 1. And so it's been fully approved and vetted by all the other relevant government entities. But just wanted to add that to what Ryan's saying. But as far as the designation, it's usually just mayor will designate who that is, and then we communicate with them and say, this is who it is. And they know already that it's going to be Ryan.
Yep. And we actually had more formal language in there. And they're like, this is too formal. We don't want it this formal. Just say the mayor's designee.
Okay.
So this is per their recommendation.
Okay, and then I had another question. There was on section 10-1-5B 11B. There was it was incomplete. Basically, there was a blank in there, regulated by blank chapter section of the city county code. Do we need to have that filled in before we adopt this ordinance?
You said 110.1-5,
10-1-5.
page 30.
This actually is what goes on plat language.
Okay.
So this is something that gets, and then it gets filled in the blanks when it's on whatever plat or whatever other document you're looking at.
It's
So
the
the-
model plat note.
Yeah,
Okay, so that blank is there intentionally?
It's an intentional
Yes.
blank.
yes.
Because it'll be obviously be different every time a plat comes in, and they'll fill in those blanks. And just like the X's that are up there at the top of B,
Right.
FEMA firm panels, 160 XXXX, all that gets filled in.
Okay,
So this is a template.
okay, perfect. That's all the questions I have.
Okay, any further questions? For Mr. Ryan or our attorney? Okay, we need a dispense of the rules.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Hershey,
I move that pursuant to Idaho Code Section 50-902, the rule that requires an ordinance be read on 3 different days with 1 reading being in full be dispensed with, and that ordinance number 336-2021 amended flood ordinance be considered after reading once by title only.
okay, we got a motion. We have a second.
Second?
Okay, we're gonna do a roll call vote in both.
Aye.
Hershey. Keys.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Nielsen.
I,
Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys,
I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 336-2021, amended flood ordinance and ordinance of the city of Star, Idaho, repealing Title 10, Chapter 1 of the Star City Code, amending Title 10, Chapter 2, renumbering the code, changing the designation of the floodplain manager, adding violation for dumping in a special flood hazard area, and providing an effective date.
okay, we got a motion. We got a second.
Second.
Okay, Councilwoman, who's got the second? Jacob was looking at me like, who got that? Roll call vote.
No, I think. this-
Hershey.
Aye.
Keys.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Nielsen.
I,
Okay,
just one time though, I want one of these things to be read 3 different times on different dates or whatever.
Yeah, the 35-page one
Right.
especially.
so you will get me the copy tomorrow to sign so he can get it over to FEMA, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And eventually publish in their time. Okay, cool, thank you. Okay, and you're still up, sir. So we're gonna
Okay.
go to item 5, I and J now, a Pavilion Dog Park and Blake Park upgrades. And you had something else in here, right?
I brought it updated, and if it's all right with the council, I would like to talk Blake Park first as opposed to Pavilion Dog Park.
Okay.
And even before we get to that, if I may, just give you a quick update on Hunters Creek Park. Most of the work is done out there, but they are, as we turn the irrigation system on, have found some damage to the existing irrigation system that the contractor is out trying to repair and fix. They've had to pull out a couple of sections of concrete. The electrical contractor used boring instead of open trenching and drilled right through a couple of the sprinkler lines. So they are in the process of repairing that. The majority of the work is done. So we're just trying to get those last little things wrapped up, and then we will be able to close out the Hunters Creek.
Yeah, so Hunters Creek, you notice that the grass is a little bit yellow. It is starting to come back since they got water on it, so it will be lush eventually on there. And I will tell you, it's a big hole when Bob's in the hole. So Bob was down on the bottom of a hole trying to repair one of those. So,
I have also received multiple comments about the improvements. I have a coworker that comes out, his son plays on the soccer and plays for the Star team. And he said that he really, really enjoys the scoreboard. And he went to the City Meridian the week after he came out to Star, and he couldn't find the scoreboard and was really disappointed. So
I like the pathways. People are walking it like crazy, which is awesome. So it's turned out really good. So, okay, let's get
Okay.
this one going.
yes, so Blake Haven. If you'll go to the next sheet. So the main purpose of Blake Haven is we want to get some more concrete out there. So those that are coming out, moms, dads with children and strollers, have a place that they can actually wheel the strollers over and be closer to the playground. The other concern with Blake Haven is when you get a lot of rain, that parking lot kind of fills up and floods, especially there by the restrooms. So the improvements for this will fix the drainage problem. We're gonna put a catch basin in there and put a below grade stormwater drainage system as opposed to just the above grade gravel.
And we're making it ADA, more ADA compliant. than where it
Absolutely.
is today.
Yep. So, and then if you'll flip to the next page, we are as an alternate.
Sorry.
You can see that we've got a pathway that's wrapping around the perimeter of the park. We'll connect into the sidewalk, and there's an existing ADA ramp there on the north on Blake Drive that we will tie that pathway into.
So will you add another alternate for this for us?
Absolutely.
So down here on the southwest corner, there's actually, want to look at possibly paving this short section into this neighborhood,
Okay,
but it's all going to be contingent on us getting an agreement with that neighborhood,
okay,
a license agreement to do that.
okay.
That way it gives us that connection from the south neighborhood there into this park
Okay.
there. So
Absolutely, we can,
does that work?
Yep, thank you. Thanks.
All right.
okay. And if you go to the next page, you'll see a estimate for what we feel this cost will be for these improvements.
I'm going to be honest with everybody. I don't know if we really know what the costs are going to be with the escalating costs that we've seen.
We have tried to account for that, but as the mayor points out, price of pipe has more than doubled in the last 3 months. Price of concrete is going up. Anything that has petroleum products, oil products in it, prices keep going up and up and up.
So we have an estimated cost right now without that second alternate of 268,925 on this. It could be higher.
It could be higher.
So it's just, there's a reality there and we just need to be real about it. I mean, it doesn't mean, when it comes in, we just need to look at everything closely, I think, in my opinion. Right? And see if there's things that we want to do, maybe not do.
Yep.
Because is your bid form going to be broken out similar to what you see here? as
Yes.
far as breakouts?
Yes.
So it'll give us some options and ideas, I guess, for that. So, yes. Hey, talk in the microphone, sir.
What's your estimated time for construction on this, do you think?
We're bidding this one and Pavilion as a joint project. So we're going to put in probably a 3-month schedule.
Can I make a suggestion?
Okay,
Let's give it 5
okay,
overall. The reason I say this is the issues we dealt with Hunters Creek with concrete.
yeah,
Right? The concrete's a challenge. It's these guys are ordering concrete. They need 3 trucks. They get a truck. Right? We got so much concrete being poured in the valley. There's not enough drivers.
Yeah.
And the powders, there's not enough. I'm hearing there's going to become a powder shortage. And so if you cram that down, we're going to pay more, I think, if they have to escalate that versus giving it some time so we could get it done for the best price.
Yep.
Possible, in my opinion.
So my question is mainly for financing for budget
Correct.
purposes. And what fiscal year do I put it into?
So it'll be part of this fiscal year. And we're probably going to roll into the next fiscal year with paying the final bills.
Okay.
the plan and the hope is to get bids in by the end of the month.
Yeah.
And then 5 months from then. So that takes us, do quick math, into the 10th month.
October. Yeah. I know we would prefer to have it done all in this fiscal year, but I think in the reality of of what's happening and to get the best value, if I pay you a little bit more to work a little harder, it'd be cheaper than paying for the escalated concrete cost. So,
Okay,
okay,
so that's Blake Haven. And then if we'll move to the Pavilion Dog Park, this is kind of a,
sorry.
yep, I think this is the best sheet to be on. This is the layout that we have for the dog park. The existing road, or well, it's not an existing road. The road that you see in the northwest corner there is being constructed as part of Reunion Subdivision Phase 4. Those construction drawings are approved. That will be moving forward. They've actually already kind of got the road cut in, and they're putting utilities in, and they will probably pave within the next couple of months. But as the mayor's pointed out, timelines are being extended and dragged. So when exactly they get paved, I don't know that yet. I've been working closely with the developer and the engineer to coordinate the location of our curb cut and some of the utilities that we'll need for this project. And they keep telling me that they are moving forward, but they're just not sure how fast it'll get done. So as you look at this, you see that we've kind of, the aerial view looks like a paw of a dog. The pad, heel pad, for lack of a better term, will be outside of any fenced areas. It'll just be a berm with some trees. And then one side with the two finger thumb pads will be the small dog area, and the other side will be the large dog area.
Small dog here, right, on the east? Right?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
And then large dog on the west.
Yep.
Okay.
You will see is going through those thumbprints. There's some lines to go through there. Those are potentially some tunnels. That is one concept. However, a couple of those tunnels end up being 40, 45 feet long. I'm not sure that, and they're only about 2.5 foot diameter. So my recommendation is we actually remove those.
So if we were to remove those, what if we were to put the tunnels closer to the ends?
We could do at the ends, or the other thought was that we could put kind of some ramps up over the top and just do some concrete ramps over the top.
Or we could just have the mayor commit to retrieving dogs.
So-
I apologize. How big are the tunnels? How like round are they?
Anywhere, some of them are only 2 foot diameter, some of them are 2.5 foot diameter. So
Big enough for a person to go in? Or not?
some people,
Yeah.
not all people.
Okay.
And anybody that has any disabilities or anything like that would have a hard time
Uh-huh.
getting in there.
Yeah, my son got stuck in one actually when he was little
Yeah,
at Flintstone Park in South Dakota, and I had to go in after him, and it was a terrifying experience for both of us.
well, and the concern is if you get two larger dogs that are going and meet
Yeah.
in there. If we do end up with tunnels, I recommend that we shift them and end up with shorter distances.
Yeah.
I think that's a valid point.
Yep.
And then we'll look at some other amenities too.
So we did get a grant, 5,000, purchase some amenities to be utilized in here.
Okay,
So we do have some amenities to add to that
okay,
already, just so you're aware.
yep. It features a double gate system. So you can go in the gate, in the first gate, take your dog off the leash and then let them in. So that's a fairly common practice in dog park design these days. And then you can see we've got some pathway running around, including a pathway that connects to an existing gravel pathway on the north.
This one right here.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
What about this path? Is this a pathway coming in this neighborhood?
That is not a pathway.
Okay.
There is a solid fence there. And if you go over there, it's just an ACHD storm
Okay.
drain facility.
Okay.
So,
And the intent here is to berm the sides with some landscaping trees, right?
correct.
On here.
Correct.
To help with sound and stuff, I'm assuming.
Sound, give you a little bit of buffer from the neighbors on the north. The trees will definitely help mitigate some of that sound.
Okay.
And it gives, the main area will be mulch. But the berms that are in there will be a synthetic sod. And that sod actually has chemicals in it to help treat the urine from the dogs, et cetera. So
It's designed for dog parks then?
it is
Okay.
specifically designed for dog parks.
Okay, and then, so I'm gonna ask you this question too. So I guess the scope of this project is everything here in this dotted line north, correct?
Correct. So that includes the new parking lot. And all the amenities and landscaping for the dog park, including all the pathways that you see inside that dotted line. It includes 3 drinking fountains that also have, if you'll scroll to the next page, you'll see the drinking fountain that has locations for the dogs to drink from as well.
So when you're, well, we'll go to the cost sheet here in a minute.
Yep.
Okay.
So benches, some hydrants, those won't be active hydrants, but
Is this treated?
the
For
hydrant,
urine.
it's metal.
It'll be treated with urine.
And then as we get to the cost estimate, you will see a large ticket item for that cost estimate is to put the
Tile the ditch.
tile the ditch. That will be an 18-inch diameter. We've actually looked, we've got it spec'd out as PVC, but the cost difference between PVC and reinforced concrete pipe, it was actually only about 3% more for the reinforced concrete pipe. By the time this thing's bid, it may be cheaper for the concrete pipe,
Oh, wow.
which tells you what PVC pipe is doing right
Right.
now.
So here's our cost estimate. There's a couple things. If you're gonna break it out like this would be great. Because in my opinion, we as a city can go out there and get the trash receptacles, to do the signage, to do the benches at a much cheaper cost than what your estimate is here.
I completely agree, which is why we broke it out this way, and I wanted the council to see it this way. Because I think that there are opportunities for the city to purchase some of this stuff on their own. Including definitely, you'll see that the mulch is a large ticket item. The city might be able to leverage some costs with that to purchase the mulch on their own and come in and put it in after the rest of it's done. So there's definitely some cost saving opportunities in that regard, which is one reason why we broke it out as much as we did. The other reason was the numbers came in a little bit more than I was anticipating, so I wanted to see why.
Well, and that's the interesting part of the bids, and a bid that's estimated to be this high, you're gonna get several probably.
Yep.
Right? Which is good.
Yes.
for us. I'm all about, so this is a capital improvement project towards our park impact fees. So for people that are unaware, park impact fees are paying for this, not tax dollars are paying for this. So if anybody was concerned about that, just want to make sure that they're aware that it's park impact fees as part of our capital improvement projects. So I want to go down this alternate one that you had down here, the RCPs are the reinforced concrete pipe, right?
Correct.
And so that was at 381 and the PVC on this was 330.
Yep.
So by the time this bid, you're thinking that might be higher than the concrete pipe?
I'm thinking that the PVC pipe dollar amount may continue to go up, yes,
Okay.
and close that gap. If not, go over that gap.
So when we bid this out, are we going to do, if people aren't aware, my background's commercial construction. So I got a lot of questions I want to ask. So I just want to make sure, are we going to require submittals on piping and all that? Are we going to direct them to order that now so we don't have to pay escalated costs later or run into an issue?
As soon as the bid is awarded, we will direct them to bid, to buy, to purchase.
Okay.
The only other way we could do that is if the city were to purchase now on their own and then give that pipe to the contractor.
I would rather have them because they have contacts to give us a price,
I agree.
a cheaper price probably than what the city can get. They see city and they jack it about 50%. Right?
Some do, some, yeah,
The suppliers I'm talking about.
the suppliers,
Sure, go
yes.
direct.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
would it behoove us to go to Ferguson directly and just reserve the pipe right now at current pricing?
Well, and that's just
So that's
kind of
I'm
what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get the best price doing it that way versus somebody else doing it. Yeah, at the time of bid. I mean, we can ask.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to find out, I guess.
Okay.
but-
And Mr. Mayor, I know a lot of irrigation pipe is high density polyethylene. I'm curious why we've got PVC here instead of HDPE.
So for this particular pipe, this is a drain, not an irrigation canal. And so what's happening is normally you've got good solid gaskets on the pipes where they connect together. And we are not putting any gaskets because we want the groundwater to seep into the pipe.
Right.
And with HDPE, we met with Alan Funkhauser, who is the, works for the Middleton Mill and is over this drain. He strongly recommended that we go PVC. That's what the neighbors to the, that's what Reunion Sub is used throughout all theirs. He said that we could petition the board of the irrigation board to go with HDPE, but they don't typically allow that for their drain pipes. For canals, they're more lenient on that. But because when this is all said and done, this is going to be that the bottom of that drain sits about 10 feet below grade. And so PVC, when you're getting that deep, they just feel more comfortable with it. It's just been around a lot longer.
Is it like a C900 or what's?
It's a Schedule 40 is what it'll be.
And is, are they going to allow you to work on the ditch now? Or-
Because it's a drain line and it's not a supply line, we will be allowed to work on it this summer.
Okay. And then, Mr. Mayor, has there been any consideration in the plan about where the donated accoutrements would be located?
No, we can figure that out when we get there. On
Okay.
that. Yeah. And as well as a dedication plaque we're gonna do to the outfit that they gave us that $5,000 for
Cool.
these items here.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I had another question. Oh, all the spoils that we had off of Hunter's Creek or on site there, would that be able to be used to help tile that ditch?
Absolutely. The cost estimate that we put together does not include any of that,
Okay.
but during the bidding process, we'll point that out and say, hey, we've got a lot of the soil.
Even the old dirt track that's right there,
Yep.
we can take that material. So
Yep.
we have a potential of a huge cost savings by being able to fill that with that material that's there, right?
Yep. They'll still have to move and place it, but they won't have to haul it from offsite
Or buy it. to bring
or
in.
buy it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's also $15,000 in there for removal of the trees that are still out there. If the city were to go out and remove the trees this month, that could be a potential savings as well.
Mayor Chadwick, I have a question about that.
Okay.
Do they all have to be removed? Is
Yes.
that due to the irrigation, the piping of that? Okay.
Well, once we put the pipe in, those trees are a
They're not
liability
Oh,
as is.
Okay. Okay.
They're all but ready to fall down. I would not leave those trees where public.
There's a lot of rot inside the trees, even the green ones, that when we have these storms, they have big branches that come down
Okay.
and it creates a challenge, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
I've
it
had
is.
some folks that are really big in the trees around here come look at them. So,
Okay. Okay, thank you.
any other questions? So this is it could be again, timing wise,
Timing.
5 months. I mean, were you planning on this one being different than the 3 months on the other for completion?
We're bidding them together, so it will
We're
be
just
one.
talking them all together?
Yep.
Okay.
So it will be one contract, one contractor. So whatever Blake Haven Pavilion will be run together and we'll give them the 5 month to get both parks done together.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the bidding documents for Pavilion Dog Park and Blake Park upgrades and giving the mayor the action item to administer this at this point.
okay, I got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion?
Mayor, yes, to add the one action or one option for that pathway in Blake Park.
Oh, yes, the add alternate for that pathway.
Sorry, alternate. Thank you.
Was that included in your?
That was included.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. So we will move forward and you guys will get to approve the bids anyway, so we can take a look at it cost wise.
Absolutely.
So.
Thank you.
Okay. It's 2 pages, Mr. Jacob. Okay, on to reports. Councilman Nielsen?
Mayor Chadwick, see, I guess we skipped reports last time, didn't we?
We did.
So since we had reports, I'd just like to report on the fact that we met as a city with our police chief down at the Ada County Sheriff's Office, and
You went to jail.
I went to jail.
Yes.
Yes. We got to tour the correctional facilities. And I got to tell you, there's a Facebook post by Sheriff Bartlett out there today, kind of highlights and talks about some of the things that they did over the last year for our inmate population to help, keep them safe from COVID, some of the things that they changed. And also to keep the 300, sheriff's employees safe this last year. And a lot of the things that he talked about in there are things that we got to see firsthand. And I'll not say in specifics firsthand, but just kind of in general, the care that is taken with our inmate population to help them improve, to help them make good decisions, to help them see a better way, and to just help them feel, safe there in the jail. I was just blown away and almost, speechless at this point in time, because I don't understand a lot of what I saw, but I understand a lot of what I didn't see. And what I didn't see were people that were stressed out, unnecessarily. What I didn't see were folks who were living in conditions that were terrible. I also didn't see folks that were being pampered. It's jail, right? I was just really impressed by all the thought that's gone into it. Some of the improvements that they talked about that have been made over the last, 10 to 20 years. Sheriff Bartlett mentioned today that we've got a world-class correctional facility, and I'm not a judge, but I can tell you that I would tend to agree and take his word on that, because I was just really impressed from top to bottom with the individuals that are serving out there, that are working out there, and with the opportunities that they're trying to provide the inmate population who are making decisions to reform and to correct, to reward that and encourage that. And I just can't tell you how proud I am of our police force here in Star, of course, but also the Ada County Sheriffs. So I'm going to follow that up with let's talk about parking along Hunters Creek Park. And just a kind of a report on that. There's a lot of parking that happens along Floating Feather and the park there. We've got it posted no parking except on the 4th of July. And so I drive by there. I live close by, and I drive by at high traffic times when people are coming to the park and also people are coming home from work. And I've seen multiple close calls with children. I've seen, vehicles that are pretty long that they park over the sidewalk there, they park onto the lawn, and they still stick out into Floating Feather. I've seen side-by-sides that people drive over there and park on the pathway so that it's no longer used for pedestrians. And I even went over and I parked there myself to see what it was like, and extremely dangerous. There's no visibility to try to get out of those parking, the way that they're parking. And then I drove over to the lots and counted the empty lots, and we had twice as many empty parking stalls in both parking lots as there were cars parked along there. So I guess I'd just really like to see us enforce the parking over there, Mayor Chadwick, and I believe it's a public safety issue. So
Okay.
That's my report.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Beautification Committee is meeting regularly. We have one coming up 24th, I believe. And we had the Association of Idaho Cities training last Monday, and I attended that and appreciated the opportunity to be there. Air Quality Board, lots of fun stuff there, but we were canceled this month, so nothing to report, and that is all.
Okay, Councilman Keys.
Mr. Mayor, first of all, I think this is the first time since COVID started a year ago, I've seen this many people actually make it to the end of a meeting. So this is really nice to see. So thank you for hanging out with us. I also enjoyed the tour of the jail, and afterwards, the tour of the 911 facility, I was kind of blown away by the amount of technology they have and being able to use what I think I counted, what was it, 13 screens or 19 screens that each 911 operator has. And it was a lot of dang screens, and the computing power that they're tapped into. So they can track every emergency vehicle in the county. They know what its status is. And when a call comes in, it pops up and it geolocates next to where all these vehicles are. So they know, what's going on there. That was an amazing tour. Thank you, Chief, for working that out. And thank you for letting me ride in the front of your car. So on the way there. I also have been getting a lot of really good feedback from our South River open houses that we had. I think we had some pretty decent attendance there, and we had I think a lot of good feedback and input on that. So we're looking forward to seeing that turn into a plan and get in front of the council here for our action. As I mentioned earlier, during one of the public hearings, we're really close to getting the impact fee package in front of council for discussion and approval. Transportation committees we need tomorrow. That'll come up. We also, Mayor Chadwick and I and John, our transportation committee chair, have a conference call tomorrow with Kenny Highway District Number 4 to talk about some of the specifics on those fees. Let's see. I also was at I don't remember what we were at an event. We had a local radio host named Kevin Miller was broadcasting from the city of Star last week, talking about what we're doing here in Star, and Mayor Chadwick hosted that, and I'm sure he'll cover off on that. But that was it was a really good event for Star to help publicize some of our businesses. Then also, Mr. Mayor, when if you want to cover off that, if you could also give us a quick update on where we are with crosswalks and the crossing flags that we've been working on. But Transportation Committee will be tomorrow, and we're going to keep working on that and some pathway work. And then I've also been talking with Carla Carnes, who's the principal at Star Elementary. Carla, this is actually her last year. She's retiring at the end of the school year. But you may remember when the old gymnasium was taken down, a year or two ago. Carla managed to save some of those 48-foot wooden arches from the ceiling in the gym, and is looking to see if we can mount 3 of them, one at the school, one at Hunters Creek Park, and one at the River House. She also was able to acquire, somebody had saved them for years and years and years, some of the concrete stars that decorated the 1912 high school here in Star that she wants to add to that. So I've been working with Carla to figure out how to get that done, because I don't have nearly enough to do. I've offered to help project manage that. I've already arranged to have the construction labor and the concrete donated for that, and we need to get we're going to try and get some other donations for that as well to make that happen. But I think that'd be a great way to recognize some Star's history would be to have those arches from that 1912 gym and from the 1912 high school erected. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Are you sure?
I can ad lib.
Councilman Hershey?
Yeah, I'll keep mine short. First off, the jail visit, that was my second time there. I'm just going to leave that at that. Just for conspiracy reasons. It's never a bad reason why I've been there, but it was my second time. The museum committee is formed, well, Museum Historic Committee is formed, and we had our first meeting, and we're very much in our infancy there, trying to figure out how we're going to get the building right, that little house, the food bank, get them to a bigger facility and get that building to be our museum. And we are collecting items. So what Councilman Keys is talking about, though, sounds like it's be displayed around the city, but we'll probably be tapping you to see what else you have. It was nice to be on the radio, and I'm very appreciative, Mr. Mayor, to allow to be able to plug our food bank for that session. It's a very important thing to me. And also met with the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. this wasn't a recorded meeting, I'd say it's as fun as it sounds, but, and no real new developments there that are gonna affect Star. So that is my report, and be meeting with the fire department and all them later on this month.
Okay, just real quick, just so everybody's aware, we have about $2.2 million in our park impact fee fund. If I meant to bring that up, but I forgot to bring that up. And that includes reducing the amounts that we still owe on Hunters Creek upgrades. If everybody's not aware, every single house that gets built, or I guess residential unit that gets built in Star, has to pay a $2,050 park impact fee to that fund. So over the years, we've been collecting that. The South of River open house was really big success. Our consultants there said that was probably one of the best well-attended ones that they've had, which is great. So with that, we're planning on June 1st to hopefully adopt the South. We're gonna have a public hearing that night and adopt the South River plan. And on June 15th, we're gonna do a separate night for the architectural overlay to adopt that and include those in our comprehensive plans and our codes, okay? The May 22nd, is it May 22nd? Is that a Saturday where we have so May 22nd, we have our Fish with Our Police going on, huh? And the garden tour going on that same day. So we'll have some youth out here at the pond by the river house fishing with our officers, which is great. I think it's awesome. And then we have the garden tour going on that day. And I believe we have several things going on in this town that day, I believe, right? We have the farmers market stuff starting to go on as well. And a fly fishing class going on down at the South River. So we got, oh yeah, and the market's at Blake this time, correct? Okay. I want to thank our staff. Our staff is overworked. I'm just going to let you guys know they are, no, they're definitely not overpaid, but they're overworked. There's a lot going on in our town and we still have the same limited staff that we've had probably for 6 years or so here. So they're doing a great job for us here in Star. The stuff with Miss Carnes, that's a fantastic deal with those wood beams. Those things were formed the old way by wetting them and drying them. It's not the laminated process that they use today. So I think we're going to come up with a fantastic entryway into Hunters Creek, into the school and down there and preserve some of that history. And the historical committee is doing a great job of, we got some folks that have been in our town for a long time. Their families have been here since forever, right? And so there's a lot of history that's there and they know people, they know things. And our hope is to get a lot of this on video, start talking to folks and just recording what they say, no matter what it is, how odd it may be or whatever. We just want it. We want the history of Star, right? To be preserved for future generations. The 911, the tour with the jail was great. The guys at the 911 center, the one thing that it struck with me is the fact that most of these guys don't get closure, right? You don't think about this, but these guys that take these 911 calls, they take everything, right? No matter what, someone may have passed away in the house or someone may not be breathing, a child might not be breathing. But once they get services there, they're on to the next call and they don't get closure. And I think that's difficult for some of these guys. And so I just want to commend all of our 911 operators for all the great work that they do to help protect we don't think about them as being the folks that help protect us, but truly our first line of defense is that 911 call for everything. So I just want to publicly thank them for their professionalism and everything that they do for us there at that center. You asked me about the crosswalk flags. I'll have to follow up with them. I haven't even followed up with that since we talked about that a month ago, we'll be honest with you. So I got to follow up with that. Any other questions on me before I pass it on to our staff? Mr. Chris, you got anything? No. Jacob? Speaker or microphone, please.
Audit is next week. We were able to hire Cindy full-time, transfer her from the temp to onboard her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having lots of reconciliation issues with QuickBooks and our multiple bank accounts. And I'm pulling my hair out, both of them.
We'll get rid of all that blonde up there.
I know, well, it changes. Meredith's first anniversary was today. So we want to thank her for sticking with us, right? And then Barb's is later this week. So that's what I have.
Okay, Sean?
Since we are so busy, in front of you, you have a couple of sheets of paper showing our upcoming agendas, items we have for public hearings. We just tabled 2 from today to the 15th. I think at some point we're going to need to add a couple, at least one more public hearing in the next couple months to catch up with some of these applications, especially with ACHD and ITD being so far behind. We're getting a little bit of a log jam. So the mayor and staff and I kind of sat down and we went over the calendar. We've got a couple of additional dates we'd like to propose to you guys. June 8th and June 29th. Those are
So
both.
let me ask you about
Thanks.
June 8th real quick. Does that give us enough time for anything that we have outstanding to really look at for if without ACHD and ITD having the information for us? When I was thinking about that,
I'd just like to keep it open for now. I mean, we'll know in the next week or so
Okay.
if we can. If we might not need it.
so June 8th and June 29th, we are planning on doing a meeting that night.
If everyone can make it. That's a Tuesday night.
Yeah,
I
it was
think that one will definitely help us catch up. Gives us another date to table some of those items above.
because we know when we come up to June 1st, we're gonna have to table those probably.
Yes.
Okay.
Then once we get into July and August, we'll be caught back up because I've given them plenty of time for 2 or 3 months for the ACHD and ITD to do their reviews. Unfortunately, I can't accept the applications and send them out to transmit to ACHD unless I have a date. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword. If I put them out too far, I'm afraid they're gonna
Wait till the last
wait
minute.
till the
and push
last
us out
minute
anyway.
and then delay them. So I'm hoping that they can catch back up. They're down a couple of planners and obviously with the growth they're experiencing.
So June 29th is one that we're looking at for certain of doing,
Yeah.
right? On a public hearing night. I think on the schedule we looked at, everybody was available. If you're not, I get it. We understand. We just need to have the quorum. Just have to have 3, right?
Yeah.
For the quorum.
I will not be available on the 29th or the 7th.
Okay,
And then the other thing to catch up is we might need to, I know Mr. Hershey's not gonna like this, but maybe have an additional public hearing. I've been trying to keep them to 2 a night. But if we need to catch up, we might need to throw a third one on and stay a little bit later. If that's okay. And you know, since we're already here, as opposed to having schedule another meeting, we might need to do that.
So as a council, we've decided we won't make decisions after 10 PM. So, as long as we're going up to that point, and then we'll just continue it to the next one.
Yeah. But again, it's up to you guys how you want to do it. Well, I'm sure we'll make it work.
microphone, sir, microphone.
It really depends on the size. I mean, like if you have one like today, that was quick. But if you have one that's huge, it draws more crowd.
Yep.
I was gonna ask though, on these smaller ones that, never mind, the HHD report and all that. I mean, if doesn't look like it's an issue, could we go forward and just table until we get that?
It's the larger ones that require traffic impact studies that have to be reviewed by ACHD and ITD that create the challenge,
Well,
right?
ACHD is going to look at all of them, but
Yeah.
yeah, the larger ones that have a traffic impact study, they have to their engineers have to review that, then give them to the development services staff, and then they write the reports. And so there's that extra month that's being added on. Some of the smaller ones, like the one tonight, are pretty easy to to get a review out of ACHD.
So I just, real quick, I want to just interrupt you, but we also put on here July 1st and July 7th as our budget workshops. The reason why is we're not exactly sure where we're going to be able to do our budget until the legislature gets done. And today they passed in the House a bill that will cap our growth, our potential growth at 8%. It's going to be in the Senate tomorrow, so we don't know where that's all going to land, right? And what that does for us, there's a lot of things that we're going to have to work out before we can really put a workshop together to see what our budget's going to be.
And it's not necessarily capping our growth, it's capping
I mean,
the taxes.
the
that we can get
taxes
off
that will
that.
come in, not our growth. Let me, thank you. Taxing our taxes, construction rules. So good call. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. So anyway, so be on the lookout July 1st and July 7th for our workshops. Okay. And then on August 3rd will be our budget hearing. We have to have it wrapped up on the 7th. So Mr. Jacob could get it all published by the 15th or 14th, something like that in July. So we could have our hearing on August 3rd, but we're kind of like in this holding pattern right now. I'm putting stuff together for that. Okay.
As you can see, we have 3 months left in this year that don't have anything on there yet. So we're booked all the way through November with public hearings.
Yeah.
already.
So Chief, did you have anything, sir?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Jake Vogt, Chief of Police here in Star. First of all, I apologize for being tardy. I let the mayor know, but I'm on a advisory committee for, it's called CASA, which is a vocational school out in Canyon County. They have, welding and diesel mechanics, law enforcement, et cetera, for high school students. And each trade has its own advisory committee. So I'm on the law enforcement advisory committee. They're given their state curriculum standards, and then they meet with each trade folks, kind of see how our recommendations based on current climate and stuff, how best, we can help recommend how they do their instruction. So we have quarterly meetings, and so today's meeting was 6 p.m. today. So that's where I was until I walked in the door. So it's really interesting. They're able to break down, the students that receive the training there for the various trades, the ones that actually do go out and get those trades, what their hourly wages are, and it's pretty impressive. It really is. It really is a good
check
program.
your uniform for weld burns.
Yes.
So you're welding.
Yes. So that's where I was up until I walked in. Second of all, thank you, Councilman Nielsen, for bringing up the parking issue. I'll speak up to our deputies and make that a priority to continue to work on that. So we'll work on that. I agree. It's a hazard. I've seen little kids chase balls out between little, cars and stuff out on the streets. So I agree. Reference the fishing derby we have. I just wanted to recognize Deputy Michael Henderson. He's the one that spearheaded that all by himself. It's an event that when he was growing up back in Tennessee, they did, and it's been his vision. He's ran with it 100%. And so it's really his project, his thing that he's really excited about. So I just wanted to recognize to the mayor and council that that's all him. He's gone out and asked for and received some donations from some local, sporting goods stores. So we're gonna have some pretty good prizes to give to, the kids for, most fish, biggest fish, those types of things. So it'll be a really, really fun event on the 22nd.
And I believe the fishing games come to restock it right
Yes.
before that event too for them. So
Yes.
That's cool.
Yep. So it's going to be a really, really fun event. Today I was able to provide the budget numbers to the mayor for this coming up year with the request and addition of the 2 additional deputies along with the vehicle to support them. So the mayor has that. And then last, this Thursday, we're hoping to put the meeting together this Thursday in the afternoon with continuing the discussion with Canyon County prosecutors for prosecution services over in Canyon County. Obviously, the higher level discussions going on between, agency heads as far as, making sure all the legalese in the contracts are all tweaked and worded. This meeting is going to be more of a logistical meeting of, where do we take our reports? What their process is a little different than the Ada County prosecutors. They require some different things. And so this meeting is just going to be kind of a logistical, how can we best not upset them by doing the wrong process? So We'll be meeting hopefully Thursday, get that discussed and keep moving forward on those agreements over there
To update the agreements.
to update the agreements.
Right.
Yes. That is all I have. I stand for any questions.
Anything for chief? All right.
Sorry, Councilman.
Did you have something?
No, I just wanted to say thanks, chief.
Okay. All right. With that said, we are done. We're going to close this hearing at 8:49. Thank you.